You're listening to The Ride to Work with Pastor Fred. Fuel for your faith before you clock in. Enjoy the ride.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for The Ride to Work this week. Hope you had a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and we're getting started on this very first episode of our week that we are titling Unmuted. This is Unmuted Week. Yes, that means I need you to say something. You need to be heard. This is Unmuted Week, and I'm just so thankful for each and every one of you that have joined us and have begun to ride with us, and you're telling a friend and telling another friend and they're telling a friend. We want to go ahead and grow this thing as big as we could possibly make it, to reach as many people as we can, just to help, just to guide. Amen. Because the work comes from you, but the hearing and the speaking comes from us. So we just thank you so much again for joining us. Listen, like I said, this week is Unmuted. So I need you to understand, look, before you answer that first email, before you greet people with that automatic I'm good when they ask you how things are going, before you put on that version of you that everybody expects, let's just tell the truth. Because somewhere between you surviving and responsibility, you've learned how to function while you are being fractured, or while you're fractured. You've learned how to function in that, and you learn how to smile when you're feeling like you're suffocated or you're drowning, and you even learned how to show up even though it feels like you're shutting down. So today, I don't want you to be silent anymore. I don't want you to hide it anymore. I want you to unmute yourself and say, I am not okay. That's what we're going to deal with today. I am not okay. And see, here's the tension in that, because our culture, the way we are, society says we should hide that. Look, never let them see you sweat. Look, don't let your enemy know, that you're dealing with something or you're going through. But God responds to that, actually. And I need you to understand, look, the Bible in Psalms 51 says, a broken and a contrite heart, it says, God will not despise. You see, God is not moved by your image. He's moved by your honesty. So I need you to just hit that unmuting button in within you, and just let somebody know. I don't know who it is you need to let know, because I know everybody will ask you how you're doing. You don't need to share with everybody, but at some point in time, you need to let somebody know, look, I am not okay. I am not okay. Look, first thing I need you to understand, honesty is not weakness. Honesty is not weakness. Look, we've been conditioned to think vulnerability equals weaknesses, but the truth is, denial is the real weakness. That's what the real weakness is, should I say. Look, because what you refuse to acknowledge, you give permission to remain. You understand that? I tell you all the time, God can't heal what you keep hiding. Look, what you refuse to acknowledge, you're actually giving permission for it to stay right where it is. You understand what I'm saying? David said in Psalms 32, he said, look, when I kept silent, my bones wasted away. That thing ate at David, because he wasn't okay. Things weren't right in his life, within him, his spirit, within himself. You ever felt that when you just knew things were just not right? You didn't feel right. You weren't functioning right, because evidently something had happened, or you had fallen short at some point in time. You made a misstep, you made a mistake, or a bad choice, or a bad decision, went a wrong direction, and you kept it, you didn't disclose it. You kept it hidden. You kept it, and it ate at you over and over again, because you would see things that would remind you of certain things. You would hear things that would call it back to your attention. And that's why David said, my bones wasted away. It just began to eat at me and eat at me. You see, silence didn't protect him. It drained him. And that's what it'll do. It'll drain you. You have to let somebody know. You have to express it to God. Let him know, I am not okay. See, some of you aren't exhausted. It's not because life is heavy. It's because you're carrying what you won't confess. That's what the problem is. You're tired because you're pretending. Stop pretending. Look, understand, we all have been there. And I want you to hear me when I say this. We all have been there. When you talk about we all have fallen short, all of us have made bad decisions, wrong decisions. All of us have been there. We've done that. And a lot of times people will hold us to those very things that and they'll label us as that. They'll label us as our misstep. They'll label us as our disappointing time. They'll label us as our failure or our failing time. They'll label us as our falling short time or situation. But you've got to understand, you cannot pretend that everything is good. Listen, I'm telling you what I know. That thing will eat at you. You got to confess that thing. Honesty is not weakness. And a lot of us, as I said, denial is the real weakness because we're in denial. We think enough time has passed to where we're good with it now. But it still continues to eat you up inside because you're not past it if every little thing reminds you of it. Stop pretending. Open up your mouth. Unmute yourself. Like say, I'm not okay. Look, second thing I need you to understand, look, God works with real, not perfect. God works with real, not perfect. And see, that's one thing when you know how, you hear it all the time when you invite people to church and they say, man, I got to come when I get myself together. Boy, if I go into church, man, lightning might flash. All the just different little things that they would say just to avoid going. But truth be told, some people actually believe that. They believe they have to be right to go to church. When that's actually the place, and you put yourself actually in the position to get right. God works with real, not perfect. God never required perfection to begin transformation. He never required you to be perfect. He required you to be truthful with yourself. As I told you before, one of my most favorite statements, one of my most favorite sayings is from William Shakespeare when he says, to thine own self be true. Be truthful with yourself. You have to be. Look, listen to what I say. God don't heal who you pretend to be. He heals who you present to him. That's who he's healing. Who you pretended to be has no stake in the game in this. None. You got to understand, look, what the tax collector said, I think it was in Luke. Tax collector said, he postured himself. He said, God, have mercy on me. On me. Jesus says what to him? That man was justified, not the one performing righteousness. That man was justified when he said, have mercy on me. It's not about your performance. It's about your purity. Your breakthrough ain't blocked by your flaws. It's blocked by your facade. It's blocked by your fakeness, your phoniness. That's what blocks your breakthrough. You not being real. God works with real. And if we're real and we're truthful to ourselves, ain't none of us perfect. A lot of us got a lot of work to be done on us. A lot of work. Understand that. Look, last thing I want to leave you with, we're on our way, and before you get to your destination, look, your starting point determines your direction. And I'll just say it plainly. If you start in denial, you end in cycles. That's what happens. If you start in denial, you end in cycles. But if you start in truth, you move towards freedom. Hear me when I say it. Honesty is the doorway. When you're being honest, that's like a doorway to healing what's on the other side. That's what that's like. It's like a doorway. John says, look, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall what? Set you free. Not your image, not your reputation, The truth. The truth will set you free. That's what you got to understand. It's the truth that will set you free. It's kind of like, I think I've used this before, but in a different way. Like you're trying to use your GPS, but you're refusing to turn on your location. You want to use your, because it asks for your location, because it needs to know where we're starting from. But you keep asking for direction, but you won't admit where you are. Think about that. You stay lost, not because there's no pathway to go. You stay lost because you won't identify your position. You don't want to say where you are. Be honest about where you are. Not what you've been presenting to people, because a lot of people will think you're farther along than what you ever thought that you really are, because you present this image that you've progressed past this, or you've gotten over that. But if truth be told, you're still stuck in some stuff that messed with you back in the day. You're still stuck at a place that you fell. You're still stuck in a situation that seemed to you just can't shake. You got to be honest about your position. Your start is important. Where are we starting from? Because you can't fool God. Let's start from square one. God, this is it. I'm toe up from the floor up. I'm stressed. I'm jacked up. That thing is eating at me. I got shame. I'm embarrassed. I'm lonely. God, and we just need to start right here and begin to work a wondrous work on me. You got to understand that. Unmute yourself. Tell yourself, I'm not okay. Before you open that car door, I just want you to say it loud. I am not okay. But I don't want you to say it as a statement of defeat. I want you to declare direction, which means from this point, my healing starts. I'm being honest with myself. My healing starts today. I am not okay, but I will be. God bless you and God keep you. We'll be riding again in the morning. Be blessed.